Hi everybody, it's Lisa again, and we just had another great writing class. I'm really very impressed with all of the students who show up for the writing classes because they spend a lot of very concerted effort. They have a good time there, and I don't know why this always goes on. Okay, that's an example of the Verbling window starting to play the video again. So when you join the Google Hangout, make sure you close the Verbling window because I keep forgetting to do that, and for some reason it keeps starting to play the video that's being recorded as I speak. So as all of you might know by now, all of these Verbling classes are always recorded live. So it's live right now, and people are going to start joining the class pretty soon. And they are also being recorded so that you can watch them later. They go up on the Verbling website, and they also go up on my YouTube channel. So there's many places you can access all kinds of free English classes being taught by teachers at Verbling from all over the world. They're all native English speakers, sometimes from the United States, sometimes from Canada, sometimes from England, but they're all wonderful people who are sharing a very special gift, which is being able to teach these classes for free. If you want to make sure you get into the class, you might want to try the Verbling Premium membership, which is $25 for a month of classes, reservations in the classes, I should say. This allows you to make sure that you get into the class that you want to be in. If you've been coming around Verbling for a while, you know that it can be difficult sometimes to get into a class, especially at certain times of the day or certain topics, certain teachers. Sometimes they fill up very quickly. So if you're very serious about improving your English and you know that you want to make a regular commitment to coming to Verbling classes, it might be a good investment for you to sign up for that premium membership. If not, you can always join after the first couple of minutes. When you see that green button, just come on into the class, and we will be here, and we can get started. So I see a lot of familiar faces from last hour. You're sticking around, even though it's late, huh? Well, it's not late for you, Maria, but for Maria Jose and for myself, it's later.
But I love your classes, so it worked. It worked.
Okay, good. All right, well, I was going to do something a little different this class, and so I'm sure we'll just see how it goes and see if we have some fun. I don't know if they fixed the Verbling chat yet. Let me see if that got fixed. No, it did not. Okay. So it's late for them. These guys who work at Verbling are also in the Pacific time zone because they are in San Francisco or near the area of San Francisco, California, so that's the Pacific time zone. And so they usually try to help fix any problems on the site as soon as they can, but I know it can be difficult when it gets later in the evening. Okay, so I'm putting the link to this Google document in the Google chat, so everybody who's in the Google Hangout can see it. If you are watching the Verbling class, you won't be able to see it, but I'm going to hopefully be able to do everything so that you can see it in the screen share as well. So I titled this class Traveling Vocabulary, but I think you guys are all pretty advanced in terms of the English, so I was going to, instead of just going over a list of vocabulary or just talking about words, I wanted to actually just get into using the vocabulary by actually doing something. So I was thinking we could talk about booking an airline ticket. We could talk about looking at the ferry schedule, which is something we do a lot here in Washington because if anybody knows the geography of this area, it's Washington State in the United States where I live. I'm right not by the Puget Sound, so sometimes to get around in Washington, you might go from one part of the state to another part, like over to Seattle, for example, and you have to take a ferry. Or that at least you can take a ferry if you want to. You can also drive around, but it's pretty fun to take the ferry, so that's something we're going to do. And also the train. train travel in the United States is not super popular because we don't have as great of a train system like Europe, for example, does, or maybe Japan or something. Some other countries have a much more advanced train system, railroad system that a lot of people use. Mostly in the United States, people travel by car or by airplane. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna get started here. I'm just gonna say hi to everybody. Let's see who's in class right now. Ahmad's back, and Christoph. Hi there, and Facundo, and let's see. Oh, Igor, you joined us. Hi there.
Hi.
Hi, and Linda's back, and Lucas is back,
Hello.
and hi, and Madan. How are you doing? Are you around there? Did you get your microphone turned on? And Maria Jose. Okay. And let's just see if Madame, are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hi,
Hi.
man.
How are
How are
you?
you? I'm
Good.
good. And you?
I'm doing well. How's your English coming along? Are you still working on it? Okay. All right, everybody. I'm going to see whether or not can you access this website here, this Travelocity? I'm not sure if it works in all the countries or not, but it's something that is very popular in the United States. If you want to book a flight, you go to something like Travelocity.com. I'm not doing a commercial for them. There's also lots of other websites like Expedia.com and Kayak, I think, and things like that. So can everybody see this Travelocity website in my screen? Is that very
Yeah.
clear? Okay, good. If you want to try going to it on your computer, you can. Hopefully it will work in your country. Sometimes I know websites, they don't always work in every country. So does it work for you guys?
Yes.
Go to that website?
In
Okay.
Mexico, yeah.
Okay, great. So where should we go? Let's take a flight. So if I'm going here, if you go to a website, this is real life. This is all the vocabulary that you need for traveling. This is not all of it, but part of it. This is the real deal. So if I want to go take a vacation, I go to the Travelocity website, for example, and I have lots of different options here. I could sign up for a package. As you see right here, they have all kinds of commercial ad things right there. I can just book a flight. I can book a hotel. I could also check out rental cars and rail, which means trains. Maybe I might want to take a cruise. I maybe go to Mexico. That's a very common destination for American cruises, or the Caribbean, for example, Alaska. Or I can get some deals, and then there's other things, activities, and then this looks like where they have some specials. So right now, looks like maybe they have a special going to London. Okay, so part of the vocabulary of flying on a plane is saying that you want to book a flight. So you're going to look for the flight times and costs of the tickets, and you're going to put in how many people are going to be traveling and all of that. So because they can tell where I'm from, if you see on my screen, it might be different for you, but it says SEA, and that's Seattle. So that's the abbreviation. So most people probably know by now that airports have abbreviations, or sometimes they call them handles. That's like a short version of it. The closest big international airport to me is in Seattle. It's actually in SeaTac, so it's called SeaTac, Seattle Tacoma. Okay, so Maria Jose, did you open that Travelocity website?
I do.
Does it have, what airport does it have for you in there?
Okay. Oh my God. Let me because I opened the US because they give me the option to
Oh,
open Colombian page.
oh, okay. Uh-huh.
So I think that please give me
Sure.
because So I
Did
want to.
did anybody else open it? And does it have a different where it says from what airport are they telling you you're closest to? Maria, do you have one open?
Uh, uh, one airport? No.
Yeah, you see
I'm
where
not
it
sure.
says on number 2, it says enter your origin and destination cities.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to type my own city, or
Yeah, I was just wondering if if something comes up in there already, because for me it already came up Seattle. But sometimes
no, it doesn't, because I
okay.
choose
Yes, I can.
America.
Okay.
I can do it with the American website.
Okay, cool.
So the origin is in Bogota, and the airport called El Dorado.
Okay.
And
Good.
the destination, I don't know.
Okay. So good. These are some of the vocabulary. If you don't know what it means, let me know, but I'm going to try to explain it. So when you go to this site, for example, number 1 tells you select an option to start your travel search. So like I said before, you could do flight and hotel, which you could save money, hotel only, flight only, cruises. You can choose any one you want. So let's just choose a flight only. Number 2 is enter. So they want you to type in your origin. So that's where you're starting, the city where you are starting your vacation, and destination city. So if I'm going to be flying from Seattle, then I would type in Seattle. And then as I start typing, it comes up all these different ones. So I'm in Seattle, Tacoma, which is that one. And where should we go? Maria Jose, you want to go visit Lendit? Lendit.
Yeah. What is the name of
where's the closest airport to you?
Yeah.
Or town?
To me, here in my own city, we have an airport.
Yeah, but probably, let's see. Where's the biggest the international airport closest to you?
Here too.
Okay, what's it called?
Aeropuerto General.
Okay, here it is.
Yeah, General
Javier Mina. Okay,
yeah.
Got it. Okay, so it's call letters are TAM.
Tampico,
for that
yeah.
one. Tampico. Okay.
Lisa, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Here in this field, we only put from airport to airport, but if you want to take a ferry or something like that, or to change from airport to ferry, it's from another place, or
Yes.
I mean, in this field, we should just only mention the airports.
Exactly. Right. So on this particular site, what we're doing right now is we're just trying to see how to buy a ticket. So we want to fly from Seattle, Washington in the United States. That's called our departure city. And it comes up with the airport code once you start typing in the name of the city. And then we're going to our arrival city, so where we are going to arrive. And that's going to be in Tampico. I could put in here anything I want. I could put in any airport. Usually if I'm going from Seattle, I'm probably going to have to fly to another international airport as the first place that I go in a country. So if I was going to fly to Egypt, for example, I would have to probably go, I imagine, to Cairo. And then if I wanted to fly somewhere else on a smaller plane to go somewhere else, I would have to do that once I got there. So this particular website right here is going to take you from one big airport to another airport if you are flying international. If I wanted to just fly to another state, then I might be able to find a smaller airport that's not an international airport. Yeah.
How do you call when you, for example, if you go to Washington, you need to change airplane once you get to one city? How do you call that?
Yeah, that's a connecting flight.
Connecting flight, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so if you are going to travel internationally, oftentimes you have to touch down and land in one place first. For example, if you're coming from Mexico to the United States, you need to fly to an international airport. So that might be like probably Dallas, Texas, or Houston, Texas. or maybe San
Houston, yeah.
Francisco, Los Angeles, something, New York, a big one. You couldn't just fly to some small airport in the middle of Colorado or something like that. So in that, the first place that you enter in the United States, then you're going to have to go through customs. And so that's where you need to show your passport, and you might need to answer some questions about how long you're going to be in the country, what you're going to be doing, those types of things. And then if you're actually, your final destination is what we call it, where you're actually going. So say your final destination is another town, then that's when you would make your connecting flight. So you would have to make your connecting flight, and that would take you to the actual place that you want to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're traveling internationally, it'd be the same thing for me. Like if I tried to book a flight to Mexico, I have to go to an airport that has customs and has people who will check my passport and all of that kind of stuff, because not every airport has that. So it's just the international airports. So Bogota obviously would be a big would have an international airport. Maria, in Sweden, do people fly just into Stockholm, or is there another international airport somewhere else in Sweden?
We have Skurups airport. It's near Malmö in the southern part. It's quite big. And then it's also possible to fly to Copenhagen, which is near Sweden also.
Okay.
So basically, we have 2 large airports here in this country.
Yeah, that's pretty good for a smaller country. Okay. And hi Yi, you joined us. How you doing?
It's good.
Good. All right, good. We're just talking about flying and using some of the vocabulary that you need to know about when you're booking a flight. So that's when you're looking to make your flight arrangements. That's like buying your ticket and planning your itinerary, which is your trip plan. Okay. Imad, when you were in Syria, does Syria have an international airport, 1 or 2, or where would you fly into Syria?
Yeah, we have 3 international airports.
Oh, okay.
3 main international airports. In the capital, we have one, and in the biggest city, which is my city, Aleppo, and we have one on the coastal side. Also, we have 3 international airports, and I think we have 2 other internal airports that only serve for internal flights.
Oh, right, yeah. You call them internal flights, and I would understand what you're saying. The more common term is domestic flights.
Yeah, domestic.
Yeah, we have international flights and domestic flights. Domestic means inside your home country. Okay. Facundo, what are you trying to say in the chat?
I'm trying to buy a package to Miami.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I will buy right now. I'm buying a package.
Oh, really? You're going to Miami? Okay, great. All right, so I'm going to keep working with this Travelocity site. So you have to know what you want to do on the site. You want to book a flight only, so that's number 1. You want to know where you're starting from and where you're going. There's all kinds of things you can do too. You might have multiple destinations, which means you have a couple of different places that you're actually going to go. That's what Lendit was talking about. You'll need to get connecting flights. So for example, if you were going to travel first to New York, and then you wanted to fly to Dallas, Texas, and then you wanted to go to Los Angeles, and then you want to go to Chicago, that you would have to make your flight plans like this. So you would do flight number 1 would be Seattle to wherever, and then from that one to the next one. So maybe I want to go to Tampico, then maybe I want to go from Tampico, maybe I'll go to Mexico City, for example. I'll have to find the airport by here. It's not even finding it because it's only the United States, so that's not really going to help me. But anyways, you would have to do that. Okay, and then the next thing you need to know is how many travelers, how many people are going. Adults, how many, and minors, that means children, 2 to 17. And then sometimes I guess airlines give you discounts if you are 65 years or older, which they're calling senior. So you would have to choose how many travelers and their ages. And then also, do you have any travel preferences? So, for example, what class do you want? Do you want to fly first class, business class, or economy class? So those are the names of the different classes. Of course, first class is quite expensive. Economy is the cheapest way to travel by plane. And then there's different fare types. If you want to have a refundable one where you can actually get your money back if something happens, you can do that. And then since this is not a actual airline site, it's a site that looks at all kinds of different airlines, then you would have to maybe choose some of the ones you want or don't want. Okay? So that's kind of basically how you make plans to go flying. So who in class has flown before? Yi, have you ever flown on an airplane? Yi, are you there? Type something in the chat, but I didn't see it. Okay, hi. Have you traveled by plane before? Where did you go?
No. No.
No, you have not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Maria Jose, how about you?
Yes, I have traveled by plane, but it's not a, I don't know, tourism plan. It's like a job travel.
Business travel? Yeah, you went for business?
Travel. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Where did you go?
It's a city of Colombia called Yopal, Bogota to Yopal, but it's a different kind of plane. It's like a military, I don't know, it's like a plane with few people, like 11 people, I think. I don't know the name of the charter. I don't know the name of the
charters. Yeah, was it a private charter, like your business paid for it or something like that?
Yes,
oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So that's a private charter. Oh, was that nice?
Yeah. One day I travel alone in the plane, so it was scary, I think.
Aha. Okay, why did it say Rome? Yeah. Okay, great. Well, I was trying to get it to Tampico, but it took me to Rome because I don't know what happened. But that's pretty expensive.
Yeah,
Flight to Rome, $1,300.
The web page collapsed in my computer when I tried to set up the final conditions.
Oh yeah. Well, sometimes these websites, they're very busy, and they definitely collapse sometimes. They sometimes you have to work with them. So now I'm trying to find it again because I'm curious to see how much it would cost to go to Mexico. Okay, so Maria, do you travel by plane very often, or?
Not very often, but yes, I do sometimes.
Where's the last place you went by plane?
From San Francisco to Stockholm.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. What did you do in San Francisco?
Well, I can tell you some other time. It's quite a long story. And
okay.
Yeah.
Was it business or for pleasure?
Yeah,
that's what we say.
It was business. It was not pleasure.
Oh, business. Oh, okay, not pleasure. No fun. Okay, good. All right. So as you guys can see, it's pretty expensive to fly from Seattle to Tampico, Mexico. It's $745.28. That's very expensive. So a lot of times what you can do on these types of websites is, if you look here, it says lowest fare summary. So they're trying to find you the lowest fare, so the lowest cost of the ticket. And as you can see, there are no flights that have no non-stop flights. They all have at least one stop over here. So if I was flying and I wanted to go to Mexico, I probably wouldn't fly straight there. I might try to look for another town that's cheaper to fly to, and then see how I would get to Tampico.
Maybe Houston.
Very, very expensive. Yeah, how far away is it driving though from Houston?
No, it's very far, but by airplane it's like an hour and 15 minutes from Houston to Tampico.
Yeah. So you guys probably know how to do this already in your own language. So this is just learning some of the English vocabulary that when you're trying to look for flights, you have lots of vocabulary here. Fare summary, you have your departure time, what airlines, if you want a non-stop flight or how many stops. And so when you're going to a website, it's kind of fun just to practice your English too. If you want to go and just play around with these kinds of websites, you'll get a lot of practice in English because they are using English. So, for example, this one tells me that there's only 2 seats left at this price, and this is the total for a round trip. So that means both ways. Sometimes you can buy a one-way ticket. That's just if you you're going there, but you're not coming back. You just go one way. Okay. So there's the departing flight information, and then if I was to look down, they would give me more information and all these other possibilities, but they just keep getting more and more expensive. So,
Lisa, I think the earlier you buy your ticket, the most cheaper it is.
Yes, that is true most of the time. What he's saying is, for example, if you know that you're going to be going somewhere and you plan your trip ahead of time, and the further out, we say further out away from your trip that you plan, you might get a better price on your flight. Although it's interesting because on this particular flight, I didn't put it in until June, so that's still quite a ways away, and it was still pretty expensive. Also, when you're flying, you probably know this also, there's a high season, and then there's a low season. So sometimes, for example, if I want to travel to Europe, flights to Europe are usually cheaper for Americans if we go like in the fall, like October maybe, or November, but they get very expensive around Christmas time, and they're very expensive in the high season for tourists, which in Europe, for example, would be the spring and summer. So the end of spring and the beginning of summer, because that's when a lot of people have vacation for school and stuff from school, so they do a lot of flying at that time. So it's usually more expensive. But it's a good idea to just check around all these different websites. Has anybody ever used these types of websites to figure out how to buy the cheapest ticket?
Nope.
Yeah.
I was searching for sometimes like that.
Say it again.
I tried to look for something like that in the internet, and I failed to trust any one of them.
You weren't able to use them?
I wasn't trusting them.
You didn't trust them. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, a lot of times what you can do here, for example, this came up with American Airlines, and it tells me the flight and all of that. And if I buy it from this particular website, that's how much I'm going to pay. But I can always go directly to American Airlines if I wanted to check out and see what they cost. Because, like I said, this particular type of site, Travelocity, is a site that tries to compare all the different flights for the times that you put in, and they try to give you the best one. or they tell you what the best one is, and then they tell you what the other ones are. But you can always go directly to the airline's website and just put in where you want to go, and then they will tell you what the price is. Sometimes it can actually be cheaper. So it just depends on the airlines. My experience with working with airlines websites is you don't know what you're going to get, because you could be putting in your information and then 5 minutes later it's not available anymore, or it's already a different price. So sometimes it can be tricky to nail down a specific price. Maria, when you went to San Francisco, did you do all your own flight booking, or did you have a travel agent or somebody else do it for you?
No, I had a ticket. It was all set
It
in
was all
advance.
set. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody else planned it for you, though? Or
Yeah.
did you? Oh, okay.
The company planned it for me. So I was actually, I was not flying to San Francisco. I was flying from San Francisco.
Well, how did you get to San Francisco?
Yeah, that's the
That's another story. Okay, that's a long story. We'll have to have a class for Maria to tell us her story.
Well, yeah, I don't want to take time, from the class.
Yes, I know. Well, that's a good idea. Maybe I'll do some storytelling classes where people tell stories about their lives. That would be cool.
Lisa,
Okay.
Can we try?
Yes.
Can we try a ferry planning trip or cruise? Yeah.
Sure. Well, the cruise is different, so let's go to ferries first. So like I was telling you guys, in Washington here, since we have to cross over the Puget Sound, we have to do that by ferry. So if you want to take your car across, you go on a ferry, but you can also do a walk-on, it's called. And so this is the website that you would have to go to. It's called the Washington State Department of Transportation. And you would look for the schedule. So, for example, I have a ferry in my town. It's called Port Townsend, and it goes across to another island called Whidbey Island. And so, if I needed to get across, then I'm going to need to go check out the times, because it's not available all the time. So, for example, I went to this page, because this is called the Winter 2013 Sailing Schedule. So if people know that word, sailing is for boats. And this is when they leave Port Townsend right here. So as you can see, it's not even every hour. So it's about every hour and a half, starting at 6:30 in the morning. And the last one is at 8:30 at night. And it's going to Coupeville. And the crossing time, so the time it takes to go across the water, is 35 minutes. Okay? So this is the schedule. There's a couple of things you need to know is that you have to know that when you're crossing the Puget Sound, sometimes the schedule can get changed because of the tides. So there's waves, and if it's very windy or stormy, or even if they just know the tides ahead of time, they might cancel certain crossings, and you will not be able to get that one. So, for example, next week, right here on Thursday, or no, sorry, this is in March. Next month, March 28th, it's going to be canceled at the 9:30 crossing and at the 10:15 crossing back from Coupeville. So, if you ever have to go on a ferry, for example, in Washington, or I'm sure it's like this in any other place. In New York, they have ferries. Not a lot of places in the United States have ferries, because not a lot of them have so much water. In California, they have some ferries around the San Francisco Bay area to get around there. And like I said, in New York and in Washington, and maybe a few other places. Canada has a big ferry system in Vancouver, Victoria, and those places. So it's pretty simple. Imad, did you have any questions about the ferries?
Yeah, we named cruising instead. We said cruising instead of flight.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and,
this.
What?
Go ahead.
And is there any special name for a harbor or a place where
Yeah.
where they launch
So
from?
it's
Or
called the terminal, actually. So, for
terminal?
example, yes, if you're going to if you want to ask directions, like where's the ferry terminal, you would say, or you would say, where can I catch the ferry? I need to
Where can
go
I catch
to,
the ferry?
yeah, where can I catch the ferry? I'm going to Seattle and I need to catch a ferry, or yeah, and then this is a ferry dock in Seattle. It's in downtown Seattle, and you need the things that are important to know about the ferry is that you need to get there early, because when they start loading, you see how these cars, they're already lined up,
Yeah.
so they're already making a line. Yeah, so you need to get there early so that you can line up. And sometimes in the summer, for example, it can get very busy with tourists, and so sometimes you might have to wait up to 4 hours or something to get a ferry, because the line is so long. It'll be like miles long, and you're just sitting in your car waiting to get on the next ferry, and then the next, and then the next. So sometimes, if you were in Washington, for example, those are the types of things you would want to plan for: is what ferry are you trying to catch? What time is it leaving? Probably want to get there about 20 minutes or 30 minutes ahead of time. But if it's very, very busy in the summer, you might need to plan a couple of hours ahead of time, so that because you're going to be waiting in line, basically.
You don't have to. So you don't have to book on the ferry to get there. You can just be there early and
Yes.
then book for. Yeah.
Some ferries, most of the ferries in Washington, you cannot make a reservation, but in Port Townsend, because we actually have two ferries that run at the same time during the summer when it's busy here, but right now there's only one, and so you can make a reservation to get on the ferry in Port Townsend, because it's a small town and the boat is not as big. But if you're looking at this picture right here, that ferry is pretty big. It fits a lot of cars. I don't know how many, but a lot. And that so those carry a lot more passengers and a lot more cars. So they do not let you make a reservation for those ferries.
I
Sometimes.
have another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Uh, if someone get in the ferry, then he would pay for his loading and, or what should I say, packages or loading.
Okay, so when you're
for
going
his
on
trip.
when you're going on a ferry, so the Washington ferry. Okay, so the way it works in Washington is you pay one way for passengers only, but you pay both ways for it's called car and driver. So if you're going across just by yourself, say, for example, say I want to go to Seattle for the day, then I would drive my car, and then I would catch the ferry, and I would have to pay for myself and the car. So maybe that's like $15 or something like that right now. But if I have passengers with me, like I have my kids with me, then when we go over to Seattle, I still have to pay car and driver, but the passengers are free. But when I come back the other way, then they charge for the passengers, and it's based on age. So like kids are maybe like $6 each or something like that, and an adult might be, I don't know, $6.50 or something like that.
I think
So,
it's cheap.
so it's
Not that
not
expensive.
cheap. No, it's
No?
expensive.
I'm
Well,
talking
yeah,
about
because what?
if you compare it with a flight or now
Yes,
we
but
have loading. We
yeah,
have limited unloading in the flight, and the airlines, they always have limited amount of weight
oh,
for loading.
right, yeah, yeah. Nowadays, it's true that, for example, when you're flying, you have to pay extra for baggage. Is that what you're talking about? Your luggage. So yes, when you're
Yeah,
flying,
yeah.
you might have to pay a lot of money for your luggage and extras and all that type of stuff. Yeah, so the ferries, I mean, people use them every day in Washington. It's a good way to just quickly get across. Usually it takes about a half an hour to get where you're going from one side to the other side. So it's pretty, it's fun. People like it. It would be more fun if it was like in Mexico where like you could swim in the water, but that water's freezing cold. So, Lendit, have you ever taken a boat or a ferry or anything in Mexico?
Yeah, about this in the middle of Mexico. It was to get into a lake.
Uh-huh.
But it was, yeah, it was
Was
like a
it
little boat.
warm
Not, yeah, it was warm.
in the water? Yeah,
Yeah.
warm water, yeah. And Maria, do they have ferries in Sweden? Maria?
Yeah, I was muted.
Okay, Luca.
We have ferries going to Denmark to the other
Right,
side.
okay.
Yeah, and to as well on the other side, like in the, what do you call it? We call it Östersjön. Ferries to Finland and to
Okay, to other countries.
St. Petersburg and other countries, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. Yeah, and some of these ferries, you know, they're quite large probably over there in Europe. I know, like, maybe from France to England, you can take a boat across the English Channel. It's in your car probably, so it's pretty big, though.
Baltic Sea. It's called the Baltic Sea. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. Has anybody else ever been on a ferry before? Facundo, have you ever been on a ferry?
Yes, I took a ferry when I went to Montevideo, Uruguay.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Was it a car ferry?
What? Yeah, no. It wasn't.
Just passenger.
Just for people.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. Anybody else? Lucas, have you ever been on a ferry?
No.
No? Lucas, what country are you from?
I'm from Argentina.
Argentina. Oh, okay. All
yes, right. But I've never been. I've never been abroad my country. Would like to go to London someday.
Uh-huh. Nice.
It's my dream.
Okay. Cool.
Yes.
Yi, have you ever been on a ferry, Yi?
No, she left.
Oh, I thought she was right there. Okay. Yeah.
Can I say something about ferries?
Yeah, sure.
We have a disco in a ferry.
Really?
Yeah, the disco travels around the river.
The rivers?
And
oh, okay.
And it's like a disco. It's quite amazing. It's in a town near my city.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So the
have you been on it? Oh yeah.
Yes.
Like you get on it. So when you get on a ferry, it's called boarding. That's also for airlines. When you board the flight, you get on the airplane. Yeah. When does it start and when does it end? What are the hours?
The ferry goes and how do you say, goes into the river and comes to the border like during half an hour, and then you can how do you say that, you can get off the boat if you want. Or just stay here to another half an hour.
Okay. So it goes from one place to another place and it stays there for half an hour and then comes back.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I wrote in the chat, you could say disembark the boat. That's kind of that's a traveling term, but you wouldn't really say that. They'll tell you, everybody needs to disembark at our destination. That means you have to get off the boat. So that disembark just means to get off. Yes, Lucas, you can drive off. So when you're driving onto a ferry, the way that happens is you line up and then they let all the other cars off of the ferry, and then they direct traffic. They tell you to get on and they tell you where to go. And the ferries in Washington have 2 decks, or 3 decks actually, 2 car decks. So you might be down below, or you might go up these ramps, and then you'll park, and then you can get out if you want to, and you can go and walk around the boat. If it's a nice day, some people like to walk around outside up on the top of the boat. If it's a cold day, you just walk around inside. There's like booths where you can sit down. A lot of the ferries also have like a little cafeteria where you can go buy some food or get a cup of coffee or something like that. They have video games that you can play. They have maps that you can look at things. So yeah, there's lots of stuff to do on the ferry. And then they tell you about 5 minutes before they get to the destination spot. They tell you to go back to your cars and get ready. So, and then once the ferry stops, they direct the traffic off of the ferry, and then you're done. So it's pretty fun. The kids like to go on the ferry. Nice. It's a nice break from driving. Okay, we have only about 13 minutes, so we might want to talk a little bit about the train system. Like I said, the trains in the United States are not used as widely as they are in places like Europe, for example, but it's still something fun people do, and it's certainly in some areas of the country they use it more. But for example, like if I want to go from Seattle to San Francisco, which is about 14 hours 14 hours driving in the car. Sometimes it takes like 24 hours to get there by a train. So sometimes it's just not very fast. So that's why a lot of times in the United States people don't take the trains, because it's much faster to fly, and sometimes it's even cheaper. So for example, you can see in the screen I put in from Seattle to San Francisco next Saturday. And for just one way, it's going to cost $128. And it's going to depart, so that means leaving. It's going to depart at 9:45 a.m. from Seattle, but it's not going to get to San Francisco until the next morning. So it's almost 24 hours on the train, and it's going to cost me $128. So if I want to...
Is it cheap?
That is not cheap. That is expensive. Yeah, because if I want to fly, for example, if I want to fly to San Francisco, I can usually fly one way to San Francisco for like $60. So, like a lot of times, I can get a ticket for half the price of that. So it's a lot cheaper to fly usually. So that's a good thing to know. But sometimes some people in the United States, they like to just to go on the train, usually for fun. So a lot of times people will take their kids on the train, like on a train trip. And so, because of course it's nice and it can be relaxing, and you get to go through a lot of scenery, because the United States is obviously, it's a very big country, so there's lots to see. So the prices here, yes, go ahead.
It can be boring for children, maybe.
Yes, it can be very boring.
Yes. If it's long. Where coming?
Right. Yes. So yes, it can be very boring. So for example, you can take a trip for $88.90 flying. It's not the same day, of course, but it's a cheap flight. That's the one-way ticket, and you can get a returning ticket for the same price, $88. So for $177, that includes the taxes and stuff, you can get to San Francisco from Seattle, and it only takes like 2 hours to get there. So you leave at like 6:15 a.m. in the morning. You're going to be there by 8:25 in the morning. You can go have breakfast in San Francisco. So you have to take that into consideration also, because the train just takes a long time. But if you have a lot of time and you want to travel around and see the scenery and you just want to sleep and read and, play cards, things like that, then you might
Yes.
consider taking the
Well,
train.
nowadays children have
iPods.
computers and all that.
Yes. Yeah.
Tablets.
Yeah. Yes. They mostly would be listening to their iPods.
You can put a game for them and enjoy it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's some places in the United States, like on the East Coast, where there's a lot more population. The population is more dense. That means there's a lot more people together in a smaller area, and they use the trains more over there. So, for example, getting from New York to, say, Boston or something like that, they'd use the train. Like, I've gone on the train from New York to Washington, D.C., for example. They have it's more common to use a train over there because it's only going to take you a couple of hours, and it's not going to be as expensive. So you can see it's still $82, but it's only a couple of hours, like 4 hours or something like that. So a lot of people take the trains more in the United States on the East Coast because the West Coast is just really big and it's not that populated actually. So, what about you guys? Do you guys ever take trains? Imad, have you used the train system before?
Yeah, I have used it many times in my country. So it's more popular than any other transportation. If you want to travel from one city to another city, you have that fast service.
Yes.
Named Train City. It's faster than a car drive or the regular drive. Yeah, because trains have their bridges and their shortcut ways.
Yes.
Yeah. If you want to cross a mountain, it will be very fast to take train.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and Facundo, have you ever been on a train before?
Yes, but just for short trips in the city.
Yeah, more like on a metro system, like a subway system.
More like longer than metro, but it's still short.
Okay.
To travel to province to another province.
I see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know what that is like. And Lendit, how about you? In Mexico, do they use the trains very much?
No, here we don't have trains. They use them only to move equipment for industrial companies, but we don't use it for passengers. We have buses.
Okay. So just for moving goods around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched a movie the other day about how a lot of people are trying to come into the United States, but they get like from maybe Guatemala or something. Some kids and
they try to jump into the train.
They ride on the top of the trains.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Yeah, it's dangerous. Many have died because of that.
Yeah, that's what the movie was about. It was interesting.
Yeah.
Lucas, how about you? Have you been on trains before?
Well, when I was a child, I traveled by train. But nowadays, as Facundo says, here in Argentina there are lots of trains for long travels. We in Buenos Aires mainly people use them to go to work only, not for pleasure and that.
Okay, not for like going on vacation or something. Yeah. Well, Maria, I know that the trains are popular in Europe. Are they popular in Sweden in particular?
Yes. I've traveled a lot by train. Train is most common after car. It's not. Yeah, it's such small distances. So domestic flights are not. I mean, they exist. It's possible to fly domestic, but usually you can go by car or train. So, but I have been interrailing in Europe actually. So that's a cheap way to travel for youth. I don't know how old you.
Yeah, we call it Eurail.
Eurail.
Like when I was yeah, I used to have a Eurail pass, and you could go and get on different. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, Europe has a great train system. Well, they also have some like France and
Orlando.
Spain. They have very fast trains.
London.
High speed.
Yeah, like the TGV in France is one, and I forget what it's called in Spain, but they're like bullet trains. Like in Japan, they have them too, and they go really fast.
Yeah.
And Asia also.
What?
Asia.
In Asia,
China,
yeah,
China, Japan.
in Japan they have the bullet trains that go very fast. Yeah, I think in certain countries, definitely the train travel is still very popular and is very efficient. So what about Maria Jose? Have you been on a train before?
Yes, but it's like a tourism train. It's like an old train in Bogota, but it's more like a travel to know, like a tourism trip, no
Yeah, like
travel
a tourist attraction.
Yeah, like a tourist attraction, but it's not like a travel to another city because we don't have trains.
Yeah.
To do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like in Europe and then other places. They just have a better landscape for it. Like going through South America and other places where it's so big and there's so many different kinds of like the jungle, and the tropics and things. It makes it harder. Yeah.
So
right.
we have a lot of mountains, so the
Yeah.
train is not a good option for it.
Right. Right.
And I think the infrastructure is very expensive for nowadays for modern trains.
Yeah.
Because, here in Argentina, there was a project for a ballet train, but then they noticed that it's very expensive to build.
To lay down the tracks and stuff.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of true too, because like in Europe, for example, and other parts of Asia, they've had trains for so long that they can just make the trains themselves faster rather than building a whole new system or infrastructure. Yeah. To start from scratch would be harder. Okay, you guys, anybody have any plans to travel anytime soon? No plans.
In my dreams.
In your dreams, yeah. I'm going to Hawaii in May.
It's. I want to add something.
Yes.
It would.
Oops. Okay. Lucas, something happened to your screen. It looks like it froze, and I don't hear you. So, Maria Jose, where would you go if you could travel anywhere right now?
Oh, maybe Greek islands?
Nice, yeah.
Wow.
And Maria, how about you?
I would go to New York or San Francisco.
You've been to those places, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. It's good to know what you like. You want to go back again? Okay, Lendit, how about you?
Yeah, actually, I'm studying to exchange student to Germany, but I still need to wait if they accept me.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be fun. So, did you start learning German yet?
No, actually no, but I hope to. If they accept me, I will take like 5 intense weeks of German.
Yeah.
It's like English, so I hope I can do it.
Yeah, you can learn it. It's easier the more languages you learn, because then you start understanding patterns and just learning new words.
Yeah.
And Facundo, where would you go if you could travel anywhere right now?
Oh, I would like to know Peru, Costa Rica, something like some country like this.
Nice. Cool.
But by the moment I can't.
Yeah. Well, we can always dream and always use our minds to imagine what it would be like. And luckily we have the internet, so we can look at pictures and all kinds of things.
Google Earth.
Yeah, Google Earth. Exactly. Okay, guys. Class is over now, so thanks for coming. I hope you guys... I I think you probably know a lot of that vocabulary. So you guys make some travel plans. Let me know where you're gonna go.
Yeah, thank you.
Woohoo! Okay, take care.
Yeah,
See ya.
thank you so much. Bye bye.
Okay, bye bye.